driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Hello, hello. Happy Wednesday, everyone. I hope that you are happy, healthy, and safe wherever you are right now. And a great conversation with Joan, not just last night. In our wrap-up last night, we were with Tim Hogan and Mike Root and Edwin Eisenberg. And, of course, you heard the conversation Joan's been having in the, in the hours following the election results in Virginia. It was what we've been looking at. I think there's been a lot of focus there to what we can learn, what went wrong, things like that. But also in Minneapolis with the police reform vote, and in Boston, first woman person of color to be the mayor of Boston. And these are some of the races I know a lot of you have on your mind. And I have a lot of texts that I know they didn't have time to get to, or they did, and I maybe didn't hear them while I was getting ready to come over. But we can also address some of those comments that our listeners were sharing. And if you do want to call with anything that's on your mind, 773-763-9278. That's 773-763 WCPT to call or text at any time. And Lady B is answering the phone, so you will hear her lovely voice when you call in. And there's a lot going on, right? There's a lot of what we need to do going forward is probably the biggest thing that we need to talk about. And there is a conversation happening all the time about how Republicans are stronger when it comes to using fear and anger to energize voters. And the other thing I saw today was the ability of Republicans, and what it is the ability of Republicans or willingness to use propaganda. I think that's a lot of it. I mean, and in whether it's for negative or bad, I mean, propaganda has been used to get people feeling emotional about patriotism or about an issue that is important to whatever group that is using it. And when we talk about whether or not, as Joan mentioned, Democrats need to take off the gloves, right? I don't know if we have it in us to be as ruthless. I don't know what other way to put it. Are we willing to be ruthless? Because Republicans are. And they are ruthless, in particular when it comes to two issues. I would say probably three, but the first two that come to mind to me are guns and the assault on women's reproductive rights. And those really galvanize voters. They can often, and yes, education is something we're talking about because the idea of critical race theory was thrown out there, but it was education in particular where McAuliffe stumbled in that debate saying that parents shouldn't be involved. And that's an easy soundbite to use over and over and over again. And when people are on the fence, that is something that will resonate. In particular, we're seeing that parents came out. So what are your thoughts? I do think that we don't have those two top. For me, if there was a hill I will die on as a Democrat, and the Democratic Party should be really circling the wagons are, for me, my top issue is health care. And then a texter pointed out that young people, what resonates very strongly for them is climate change, and that Democrats need. I think can we do that? Can we pick two top things? And for Republicans, the two top for me, as far as I would. In my just off the cuff, I would say it's guns and abortion, and from there using race and that you're being left behind, that the Democrats don't do anything for you, those kinds of things. That's all in messaging. But when it comes to a specific issue that you can say, we're going to make sure you keep your guns, and we're going to make sure that women do not have access to reproductive rights or health care, those are things that they really do energize voters with. What do we have? What would you want to? What's on your mind? Because those are just two things I'm throwing out there. Mark is on the phone from St. Louis. Hey, Mark, what's on your mind? Oh, wait.
Patty.
Hi, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing, Patty?
Very well. How about yourself?
Well, I hate to say I told you so, but I told you so. I called you yesterday and said I was nervous. I could just tell something wasn't right, man. I mean, Patty, all you have to do is just talk to the everyday people out here and just talk to them about the gas prices and the food prices.
Yeah.
And people, these things affect everyday Americans. That's what people are worried about. They're not worried about, this stuff that's going on in Washington. They're up here arguing about over these bills that should have been passed months ago. And the people are feeling like basically the people that the voters that put the Democrats in office are being rejected. Nothing really has gotten done. You know, and they say, why did I stand out in line for hours and hours for this? You know, nothing is going right. You know, so that's what they actually the Republicans got women. They won women voters. I was looking at that 15 points. That's in less than 1 year turnaround. They basically, with the women voters went back to the Republicans.
Yes. Well, and to your point, what did I stand in line for hours for, right? We are not able to celebrate something, and we should. There are things that we have accomplished, and we can't say, you know, it would have been a lot worse if you hadn't elected us. That's not a messaging campaign, is it?
Right. No, it's not.
Right.
And you can't keep running on.
No.
I like some of these callers to be calling in about Donald Trump. Yeah, that's all we hear about Donald Trump. Well, Donald Trump is in history now. You know, even Youngkin didn't even bring him up. They didn't bring him up. Youngkin didn't bring Donald Trump up. He wanted to keep his distance from him because he knows he's toxic. And he ran an excellent campaign, you know. He talked to the issues that most voters were concerned about, and that's why he was able to pull off this victory. And the difference, like you said, you was just saying earlier, Patty, about I don't see it in Democrats to be ruthless. They have to be ruthless, but you can't bring I guess a knife to a gunfight. You have to fight these people because they are excellent. That's one thing I give the Republicans credit on. They're excellent at branding and messaging. The Democrats are horrible. Like these infrastructure bills. Only 10% of people know what's in these bills. Now, what kind of nonsense is that, Patty?
Right. Tell us what you're doing. Celebrate the victories, and wherever that is, you know. And I think Tim Hogan mentioned this last night about Edward Eisenberg mentioned, you know, the things that we shouldn't do is avoid seeming as though we're whining. And I agree with that to some extent. Only Republicans do. I mean, like, what do you think? You know, well, they're stealing the vote or there's voter fraud. That's whining when they lose. And Jones, you know, was talking about this. When they win, it's because they were successful, but when they lose, it's because it was stolen from them. It reminds me of an algebra teacher I had who said that when a student gets a bad grade, they're like, they gave me a D, but when you get an A, you're like, I earned an A. And that's a lot of what it seems like. There is that whining, but you know, if Democrats do it, we're like, I don't want to play that game. We're not willing to lean into some of the things that the Republicans are.
I'm still holding out hope that it's time that we can turn this thing around, especially if we get this vaccine, you know, get this pandemic under control here, which look like it's easing up a little bit.
Yep.
If we can get the economy turned around and get some of these, you know, get this inflation down, man. Because this, like I said, you go to the gas station and you spending $20 and your gas needle barely moves. I mean, come on, that's everyday kitchen table items there, man. And we have to turn it around because what did they say? 71% of the country feel like the country is moving in the wrong. Voters feel like the country is moving in the wrong direction. I mean, you're not going to win anything. And you know, people are disappointed. They feel dejected, and you know, especially coming out of this pandemic, they don't. You know, people are depressed. Really, you know. I see it all the time, Patty. People are not happy out here.
No, they're not happy. And you know what else? They're not driving well either. I think that this sort of malaise is affecting their ability to use their turn signals and behave appropriately in traffic.
Exactly. I totally agree. Yeah, and like I said, we got to get better candidates, students. Terry McCullough, this guy basically shoved out two African American females because of his money. You know, are we going to go back to the same stuff over and over and over again? Let's get some good candidates out here. I mean, this guy's a retread. You know, he made a terrible mistake saying that parents shouldn't be involved in their education. I mean, duh. Really?
By the way, we have a listener from the 773 that says that Mark is spot on. Enough with the PowerPoint presentations and get something done. Go low like Republicans and win for change. And I get that. I think that we have to going low. I think is what Democrats get hung up on. I think that it's not just go low. I think you have to go 0 F's given and go scorched earth on some things. And I don't know that it's not that we need to marginalize progressives, because without pushing for a lot of issues, I don't know how we move the ball on health care for all or education or a lot of other issues that progressives are really energized on. I do think that dismissing moderates is moderate Democrats. It's actually the other way around. It's not that moderates want to dismiss progressives. I think progressives are waiting for moderates to die off. Is what.
but Patty, it's like the Democrats want to hit a home run up to bat every time. You don't hit a home run every time.
That's true too.
You have to manufacture a run or two every now and then. You're not going to get everything in one swell off of one bill. It's not going to happen. It's not how it's designed. Now, if we had super majorities, I would say go for it. But we don't have that. You're not going to get everything off of one bill. So you have to go take this thing and manufacture stuff. And get a little here, a little there, and eventually it all adds up. Okay.
It all adds up. I agree. We got to get out there, Mark. We got to get energized. Zero F's given.
That's right. All right. Thank you. All right. You have a good evening.
Take care. Take care, Mark.
All right.
Thank you. And I don't know if you had a chance to listen to our conversation last night with Edwin Eisendrath and Tim Hogan and Joan, of course, hosting that show. But it was a lot of folks were frustrated last night, and I'm not. I guess we can talk about what's wrong or what's on your mind or what direction we need to go in, and that's the conversation today. Roosevelt is joining us. Hey, Roosevelt.
Patty, thank you for taking my call. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Here's the thing that we have to bring into the conversation along with what Mark was saying, and that is this. Good news does not sell. Look how far Biden has gone when it comes down to COVID. But it's not something that you could put your hands on. It's not something, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well,
he's done a lot. And the media, I hate to sound like Trump, but the media has a big part in it. They don't report good news. And Trump and the Republicans for 30, 40 years have had Rush Limbaugh, you name it. I don't have to name them. You know them already.
Oh, yeah.
And they have Fox News. And that helps a lot. So along with what Mark is saying, you have to bring that into the conversation. Because we don't have people on our side, the corporate media. Look what they did with Biden. Biden's in trouble. Look at Biden's numbers. They're so low. They didn't do that with Trump. So that plays a big part when it comes down to winning and losing. The only reason why Trump lost is because he messed it up himself. He messed up how he handled COVID.
Right.
Because he had the whole media scared. The corporate media was scared of criticizing him. And on the other hand, he had Fox News cheering everything that he did, even if it was to this day. And now you got other people, like other corporations, like Newsmax, and what's the other one that starts with an O?
Oanon. Oanon? Is it O-O-A-N-N?
No.
Oanon?
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. So now there's
Oanon sounds about right, though. I'm sorry, what was it?
So now there's more of them giving them airtime. There's more now. And now Trump has got his own. And that plays a big part, Patty, big part, because they're constantly, look at Trump, day in, day out, Twitter, day in, day out, he was hammering it. And we don't have that. And when it comes down to what you said before, that killer instinct, do you know why they have the killer instinct? Because they're selfish. They want to stay in office and line their pockets and give their buddies tax breaks to rich people. So they fight for this because they got a stake in it. They tend to gain more of their assets, more of their what they invest. I'm talking about the Republicans. Look at Reagan. Reagan, he was a Democrat, but he switched. Why? Why did he switch to Republicans? Because of the fact that that's where the money's at. That's where you make money. You know, look what Trump is doing with the money that he's bringing in, that he's collecting from all these idiots. He's keeping it. Well, that's what the Republicans do. How many scandals have there been in the GOP where the guys don't even they don't quit?
Right.
Why? Because they stay in office. Look at that guy from, what was it? Where was he from? I think it was from West Virginia. I'm not, years ago. And he was seeing his lover down in Argentina using taxpayer money. He didn't want to quit at first. I don't think he quit.
Right.
But that's a perfect example that you have one side that wants to help people, wants to help the country, wants to have, like, to your point, clean air. The other guys don't care. They don't care about clean air. They don't care about water. They don't, clean water or contaminated water. They don't care about that. That's the point. That's why they have the killer instinct, because they're selfish. They want to stay in office. Now, I'm not saying the Democrats don't want to stay in office, but they're not as ruthless because of the fact that they have a stake in the game. They want to get more money.
You know what's funny about that is that they are ruthless individually for their own power, right? Like if they're running for, again, yep. I mean, Democrats are. I mean, I like you said that some of them are. I know that they can be ruthless, and they will at all costs if it's their own power, but not for the rest of it, right? Not for the bigger picture of getting things done. And I use my own personal experience in my race. I've talked about this before when Representative Lindsay LaPointe was willing to weaponize the trauma of rape survivors. I mean, going completely against everything that she says she stands for as even a social worker. But if it meant that she could hold on to power, she was willing to do it. So to your point, I agree completely. I think that makes sense. But I have a question for you, Roosevelt.
Go ahead.
Are you taking time for self-care? Because I feel like your blood pressure's a little high today. I feel like you need to do meditate. Are you able to clear your head once in a while?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure because these I get whipped up too, and I just want to make sure because this is a marathon, not a sprint, and we have to take care of ourselves to be able to be available.
My health is not good, to be honest with you. I have type 2 diabetes. I cheat. I'm honest. What I do, I am honest. I'm honest with myself. I cheat. I eat some sweets now and then without my wife knowing. She kind of snaps at me from time to time.
You need to go for a walk and meditate. You can listen to us while you walk a little bit, taking some fresh air too.
Yeah, my wife. You sound like my wife. She, as a matter of fact, that's where she's at right now. She's lost 68 pounds.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she had that high cholesterol and all that. But back to the point.
Gotta stay healthy.
Back to the point. Yeah. Back to the point, and that's precisely the point. They don't care about people's health, and you have a fantastic way of looking at it, and you remind me of my grandfather. My grandfather used to always say, without good health, you can't help people. That's what he used to do, because he was the salt of the earth. He would help anybody.
Yeah.
And he was a great man. So,
and that's...
You got the right idea of health, and that's precisely that point.
Yep.
Republicans don't care about health issues, and they deal with emotions, too. They put the emotion in there. So along with the emotion, along with all these multimedia people that help them, you got to put another thing in the conversation, and that is they use religion to their side.
And we have a strong, religious beliefs in the Democratic Party as well. And I think that we are afraid to because we think, well, we're not all Lutherans or Catholics or Mormons or Buddhists or Muslim, and we worry about that. It is about we can also bring faith into how we approach whether it's running for office, but it's inherent. I guess we just don't wear it as a banner. We don't wrap ourselves in it. It's baked into who we are and what we do. I've got to run to a break, Roosevelt.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Of course. Be well, right? Go for a walk. Take a deep breath. Look forward to talking to you again. Take care. More in a moment when we come back on WCPT 820. I'm your host, Patti Vasquez, and we are driving it home.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. Wounded Warrior Project was created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war, whether those scars are physical or mental. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
If you're like most people, you're probably more than a little concerned about the state of the world around us today. Strange times. The stock market all-time highs every day. U.S. debt never been higher right now. Dollars losing value. And let's not forget about inflation, the highest since 2008. Remember what happened in 2008. So, how do you protect your money, your retirement, your savings? Well, many people, just like you, are turning to Old Faithful to protect themselves during these difficult times. And Old Faithful is real gold and silver from the Oxford Gold Group, the kind you can actually hold in your hands and have in your IRA. No better time than the present to protect your future and the future of your family. Call the Oxford Gold Group right now, 833-928-GOLD. They will send you their free guide on investing in gold and silver and answer all of your questions. Protect your money before things get even worse out there. Call the Oxford Gold Group today at 833-928-GOLD. Oxford is here to help you protect your savings and retirement. That's 833-928-GOLD.
We know you're not quick with opinions beyond your tight circle of friends, but that's why people listen whenever you choose to weigh in.
You're listening to Driving at Home, and I'm your host, Patti Vasquez on WCPT 820. That's music from our good friend Chris Jones. You can go to chrisjonesgrass.com for his latest album. And if you were listening on Friday, he was in studio with us on his way to a gig in Michigan. And we are talking about what Democrats need to do. What's up with the Democratic Party? Someone said go ahead and bash Democrats on WCPT all day. I think that being reflective is part of the process, and trying to figure out what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong. Is and everybody's different. Mary from Elk Grove Village, how are you doing today?
I'm doing okay. How are you doing, Patty?
Same. I'm doing okay.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess the question is, we don't want to be ruthless. We're Democrats. We're the nice party. And Michelle Obama, who I adore, said during the 2016 election, when they go low, we go high. And I was right there with her. Mm-hmm. But then after we got what we got, I changed my mind, and I said, when they go low, we kick them. Okay? I'm sorry. We kick them. Because we cannot have anyone, we can't have him or anyone like him ever again in office. And as far as being ruthless, think you're a mother, I'm a mother. If someone was going after your kids, what would you do?
Right.
What would you do to protect them? What would you do to protect your family? You'd be ruthless. So as far as the Democratic Party is concerned, if we're considered a party, a family, then we need to protect it. So we need to get a little ruthless. And one of the ways is, I've been thinking about this, is all those left-wing billionaires, instead of running for office, for president, the Tom Steyers, Andrew Yang,
the Pritzkers,
all of them, instead of running for office, you need to create what the Koch brothers did, some sort of conglomerate that starts buying up radio stations and local stations and start putting out more progressive radio. Yeah. Because the right radio has taken over. And Tom Hartman brought it up, has been talking about this, is that now what they're doing is they are targeting Spanish-speaking stations. We can't have this happen.
We have been lucky for a long time that there's been so much negative language directed towards Latinos, in particular. My family, my mother is from just south of the border in Del Rio, south of Del Rio, Ciudad Acuña. We were lucky for a long time that the messaging was that these are our neighbors, our family members, but really, what the Republican Party says that they stand for would appeal to Latinos because of the family, because of religion, and because of abortion. That's where they. I mean, if we're not having these conversations, we are losing the Latino base in parts of the country where the conservatives are willing to go in, as you said, buy up the radio stations and media.
And they're doing it. They are doing it. Yeah. And as far as the religiousness of the Republicans, let's be very clear about this. They use Jesus as a mascot, okay? Mm-hmm. Because all of their policies are nothing near what Jesus spoke of.
Right.
Jesus never spoke of abortion. Abortion is barely mentioned in the Bible, and the few times that it is, it doesn't favor well for the Republicans, okay? No. And there was, fathers sacrificing their children and all kinds of other nonsense and all kinds of other Bible stories. So as far as them wrapping themselves up in the Bible, I think that they pick and choose, but they don't actually live what Jesus spoke. Feed the hungry, visit those in prison. When I was,
right.
Clothe the poor. All the things he said. They don't do that. It's like pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Not in the Bible.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Not in the Bible. No. And Democrats are like, oh wait, you're down on your luck. You need help with child care. You need help with housing. You need food. Oh, here you go. Republicans get another. They don't care. They don't care.
Right. Well, and here's the thing. I mean, Jesus definitely spoke out against excessive wealth.
Yeah.
That it was evil. So I guess that, sometimes here's the thing. For some folks, it's hard to carry more than one thought at the same time. So if they just get the one, they don't see the other. It's like they go part of the way and just take, like you said, they cherry pick.
It's two things. Gun rights and
abortion.
Yep. And abortion. That's it. And I don't want to pay for anybody else. If I'm, if we're giving something to somebody else, then it's taken away from me. It's that meme that's going around with the billionaire sitting at the table. It used to be a black person. Now I think it's an immigrant and a white guy. And there's 100 cookies. And the billionaire takes 99 cookies and leaves one on the table, points to the white guy and says, he's going to steal your cookie.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Make somebody the other and the threat, and you're able to get folks to vote on fear and rage.
Oh, I hear the Republicans. I hear actual Republicans. Do you see them all coming over the border? There's a and remember the caravan? And they're going to come, and they're going to come, and they're going to take our homes. You're okay with Guatemalans coming and taking our homes? And I'm like, are you talking about the grandma in the flip flops with the two little grandkids that she's going to come and take your home? Give me a break.
Yep. And where's that story gone? It's not. They're not paying any attention to it. Just like a lot of these other things that are imminent danger. And you know what? So before I let you go, Mary, our friend Jerry texted, January 6th changed everything. No parent wants to resort to violence, but if someone attacks your house, you'll do everything it takes to protect it. And Republicans attacked our house on January 6th. And he's right. That's what we need. You attacked our house, and we're not acting that way. And Merrick Garland is not helping things. Oh, don't get me started on this, Mary. I got to run to a break.
Okay, you take care, Patty.
You as well. Talk to you again soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Let's take a break here and catch up on traffic and other information from the station. You're listening to Driving at Home with Patti Vasquez on WCPT 820.
Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive on WCPT Willow Springs is powered by ComEd. Lower your energy bills and reduce your carbon footprint with the ComEd Energy Efficiency Program.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago traffic update.
Traveling northbound on DuSable Lakeshore Drive, stop and go from Soldier Field to Chicago Avenue, Foster to Hollywood. Southbound on the bricks from Michigan Avenue to Chicago Avenue, and then Hyde Park Boulevard down to Marquette. Coming inbound on the Edens, jam-packed from Toohey down to the Kennedy Merge. Lake Cook Road down to the junction 4317 on the flip. Kennedy outbound, bumper to bumper, Montrose to Nagel, 22 to the split 18 in the Express, 43 to O'Hare. Inbound from the airport, 54 minutes, 21 of that on in from the junction. Ike outbound, 48 minutes from the Circle to 390, jammed down to 25th Avenue. Inbound just past Mannheim, a fender bender's off onto the right shoulder. Now from 390 back into the Circle at 56. Stevenson outbound, 53 minutes from DuSable Lakeshore Drive to 355. Inbound jammed from Lamont to Pulaski. 355 back into the drive at an hour and 4. That's traffic. I'm Mary DeBadges.
Mucinex DM's bilayer tablet allows for immediate and extended release, relieving both wet and dry coughs and loosening chest congestion for 12 hours. Mucinex is your trusted partner to help relieve cough and chest congestion and get your body back into control. Available at Walmart.
Holidays are here, and so is fashionable fitness. Gift yourself a Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 3 5G, a phone that folds in half to literally stand on its own. Pair it with the Galaxy Watch 4 for ultimate wellness and wow factor. Check health stats, flex personal records. Over 90 activities can be tracked, like biking, swimming, golfing, and more. Invest in yourself with tech made to crush goals. Holidays open up with Galaxy. Shop it all at Samsung.com. 5G connection and availability may vary. Check with carrier. Products sold separately.
You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
On January 6th, 2021, followers of Trump and something called attempting a coup at the United States Capitol. Who are these people?
Oops, I think I played two songs at the same time. I was rushing to push a button. Hey, that's our friend Steve Goody with a QAnon Girl from his album What I Did During My Pandemic Vacation. You're listening to Driving at Home with Patti Vasquez on WCPT 820. And I want to welcome Terry Cosgrove from Personal Pack on the air. I know you're traveling, Terry, so thank you so much for taking the time to join us. And not just thank you for joining us, but thank you for all the hard work and finally successfully repealing P&A. How are you feeling?
I am feeling great. I was really exhausted when it was all over. It was a 48-hour marathon between the Senate and the House vote. And when I walked out of the Capitol about 1 a.m. on Thursday, I looked back and I thought, we did it.
Yeah.
And in fact, to Dean Bennett from the ACLU and Anna Moeller, the House sponsor of the bill, because it started in the Senate and the final vote was in the House, the three of us were just staring at each other going, we did it. Because this, Patty, this law has been in effect since, well, it's been in effect for the last 7 years, but it passed in 1995, and I was sitting in the gallery of the House when it passed, and just how our hearts fell to our stomachs, just knowing the harm it would do to so many young women who would be faced with having to tell a violent, abusive parent or someone who sexually assaulted them that they were pregnant, number one, and number two, they needed an abortion or wanted an abortion, and to know that the harm of that law has now been repealed just feels so right. And it took 26 years to get it done, but we at Personal Pack never gave up on it, and I'm so proud of everyone. There's so many people chipped in, from the attorneys that represented young women in court for judicial bypass hearings, to doctors, to social workers, to advocates, and all the medical organizations, from the AMA to the American Academy of Pediatrics, that weighed in about how harmful the law is. So I'm feeling really good, really, of the three main bills that I worked on, the RHA HB40, this one was legislatively the easiest because all we did was strike a few sentences from the statute. But I think emotionally and psychologically, it was really the toughest. It was the hardest thing I can say I think we've ever done, at least I've ever done, because so many legislators were challenged by not making about their children, but others, the small number of young women who were impacted, because we know that in 85% of teens who seek abortion care in states with parental involvement, with P&A, they already consult their adult family member, their parents. And in states without it, it's still 85%. So this was never about family communication. It was always about the impact it had on the most vulnerable young women, and so we did it. And like and also I think the final thing, because there was so much misinformation by the other side, but the rights and responsibilities of parents in Illinois has not changed one iota by this law. I mean, it just really gave the young women who I've already spoken about the access to the health care they need and want without the fear and anxiety and abuse. There's so many stories of young women being thrown out of their homes when their parents found out that they had sex and they were pregnant, and they saw it happen to an older sister, so they knew what was going to happen to them if it happened. if those circumstances presented themselves. So I know that's a long explanation about it, but that's where we're at. And now, I mean, in conclusion, Illinois is a 100% pro-choice state. And when I started at Personal PAC in 1989, we were one of the most anti-choice states in the country, with spousal consent, bans on IVF, bans on certain forms of birth control, misinformed consent, waiting periods, I mean, all kinds of horrible stuff. So to go from that to now being up there with one of the most progressive and welcoming pro-choice states in the country almost feels surreal, I have to be honest with you. It hasn't quite set in. You know, this whole 32-year journey, as I would call it, that I've been at Personal PAC, this hasn't quite set in, I have to be honest with you and your listeners. And thank you to every listener that called their state representative, that called their state senator, that wrote an email, that, you know, went on social media and sent a message. It was heard loud and clear, and thank you so much, because it really was. It takes a village to do something like this, and there was definitely a village involved.
Well, it not only takes the village, it takes the dedication, the hard work, and not wavering. I mean, when did you say, how long have you been doing this, for 26 years?
Well, P&A was enacted in 1995, but I've been at Personal PAC 32 years.
You've been 32 years. I mean, and I have to believe there have been moments where you've thought, well, or people have tried to lure you away to do other things and replicate the kind of work you've done at Personal PAC, but you have stayed the course on this. And that's we've been talking a little bit about where Democrats need to start, you know, whether it's taking off the gloves or how we replicate essentially this long-term mission that you have successfully achieved in Illinois. We need a blueprint for other issues, but not just other issues, obviously other states. There are people in other states who are like, how do we get a Terry Cosgrove? How do we get Personal PAC to you know, make these strides to protect women, to expand healthcare?
Well, you know, well, it's funny that you say that, only because I really have been, like I tell people all the time, I'm a one-trick pony. I mean, the reproductive rights, and that's it. And that's really what I have focused on, because they're in this job, there can be so, and particularly on the electoral piece of it, because there's so many other pieces of reproductive rights. There's education. There's obviously the provision of health care, and there's so many other issues, but we have stayed focused, Personal PAC has, on the electoral and the legislative piece, and we've been single-minded about that. And so, I mean, that's what's been really helpful. And but I agree with you. I mean, part of one of the things that we have done at Personal PAC is we've been very, we've put the issue front and center. We don't let the anti-choicers get away with the misinformation and the lies that they consistently try to put out there in the public, and we go after them first for their extreme position on wanting to outlaw abortion. You know, for years, I had told people that that Roe v. Wade was threatened, and that the anti-choice movement wants to make abortion illegal for all women under all circumstances for all time. That is their ultimate goal, and they don't care about the harm that causes. And we're seeing that play out in Texas right now.
Yes.
I mean, can it get any worse than passing a law that basically outlaws abortion before most women even know they're pregnant, and without an exception for rape and incest, and then to allow bounty hunters to go out and track people down and file a lawsuit for $10,000 minimum? I mean, this is where we're at. So they have put their full agenda right out there, and I just wish that a lot of people would have seen it. I wish it wouldn't have taken the Texas law for people to realize what their real agenda is. And you and I have talked about this. You know, abortion is just the beginning. They're going after birth control. They think that it is a form of abortion. They think that the IUD and most forms of the birth control pill are equal to abortion. We have them on record as saying that. And, as Maya Angelou said, when someone tells you who they are, it's really wise to believe them.
Indeed. And that was part of the trigger language, even when you mentioned that Illinois used to be one of the most anti-choice states in the country. Had they gotten farther during the previous administration, there was birth control that was vulnerable to being if Roe v. Wade was overturned.
Yeah, in fact, when we did HB 40 in 2017, only 4 states had a trigger provision. And for your listeners that don't know what that is, that's a law that says the day Roe v. Wade is overturned or modified, that life would begin at conception and abortion and most forms of birth control would be illegal in Illinois. We were one of 4 states to have that in 2017. As of today, there are 22 states that have that, and more are being added monthly. So that's where we're going. That's where we're going. And it was just going to take, Amy Coney Barrett has already called birth control disgusting and an abortifacient. So all it's going to take is a Supreme Court case, is a case in front of the Supreme Court, talking about, a questioning whether the IUD and the pill, which is what 90-some% of American women are on at some point in their life, if those are considered to be illegal, because they, in fact, prevent a pregnancy from taking place. That's what we're going to be facing.
Yeah,
and if people don't pay attention now, like they didn't pay attention, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, that Roe v. Wade was in trouble, we're going to end up in the same situation.
And that's what is important about being aware, being informed, and following groups like yours. Personal PAC, by the way. You guys you're not done. This is not just because you have achieved this. I know that, we are a bastion.
No, we have to defend it now.
Yes.
We have the 2022 election. We could lose everything. We could lose everything. None of these victories, election or legislatively, are permanent. They're not written in stone for all of time, and we can see that with, Trump's 3 justices of the Supreme Court have changed the trajectory of not just reproductive rights, gun safety, the environment, voting rights. Oh my God! There's just so many things that are going to be impacted negatively, extremely negatively, by what happened in 2016 with Trump's 3 appointments to the Supreme Court.
Exactly. That's the thing, is we don't play the long game as well. We've been talking about how Republicans are ruthless, and Democrats aren't always willing to be that way unless they're holding on to their own power, but not for the issues that are important.
Right. And the Republicans give their base everything they want. It's amazing. And Democrats are not as willing to do that and keep their base satisfied is probably the wrong word, but do what they promised to do. Look what's going on in D.C. right now over these 2 pieces of legislation.
Right.
Should have passed a long time ago. And but I don't want to comment on the work that's being done in Washington, D.C., because we have some really great people in Illinois that are doing their very best to get that stuff done.
But what you mean is the follow through, and you have certainly done that, and we are grateful for that. Thank you so much, Terry. Are you still in California? Are you in an undisclosed location?
I am.
Nice.
Yeah, undisclosed. Yeah, I'm in an undisclosed location. Yeah,
you got
the witness protection program.
You got out in time because we have had our first frost. I don't know if you saw Representative Kifowitz's backyard.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh, God, tell me quickly. I didn't hear the weather. I haven't been looking.
It's just cold. It's just brisk. I would say it's just brisk, Terry. The first frost. Yeah.
Okay, brisk. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll be back in several days, and I'll be there with you. I don't mind winter, actually. I have to say. I was born on January 6th, so the right-wingers have managed to ruin my birthday.
Oh, no!
Everything else. Yeah.
Well, if we could get a little bit more, severe with how they're handled, it would be a good birthday present. It'd be a good memory if more of them went to jail. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, you take care.
You too, Terry. Have a safe trip, and everyone visit Personal PAC to find out how you can continue to be involved. Have a great
personalpac.org. Yes. Okay. Take care.
You as well. Bye, Terry. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye. We'll take your calls. I got Dave and Ed on hold. I will take a quick break. We'll be right back and get to your calls after this on WCPT 820. I'm Patti Vasquez, and we're driving it home.
A better life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta. How can you practice mindfulness if you hate sitting still? I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, CNN's chief medical correspondent. The saying goes, a wandering mind is an unhappy mind. But when life is so busy and there's so much to worry about, how can you get better about staying in the moment? Most experts agree the best way to do this is to focus on your breath. Not necessarily controlling it, just observing the breath and keeping your attention on the breath, and when the mind wanders away, guide it back to the breath. But if you have trouble sitting still, you can go for a mindful walk, where instead of paying attention to your breath, you pay attention to what you're seeing, feeling, smelling as you go. Or try making everyday tasks like doing laundry or the dishes mindful ones. That will help you learn how to be more present for the more important things you do every day. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
Why give your family just ordinary eggs when they can enjoy the best? Eggland's Best. The only eggs with more fresh and delicious taste, plus superior nutrition compared to ordinary eggs, with 6 times more vitamin D, 10 times more vitamin E, 25% less saturated fat, and 38% more lutein. Because the way you care is anything but ordinary. Only Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
In times of fear, World Vision is there for the most vulnerable. For the last 70 years, we've been standing with kids and families through natural disasters, war, and disease, delivering life-saving aid and helping rebuild lives. And with every act of courage, faith, and love, we do more than just stop the spread of fear. We replace it with hope. Learn more at worldvision.org.
Patti Vasquez is taking your calls now at 773-763-9278. Driving it home with Patti Vasquez now on WCPT 820.
As we head into the home stretch, I want to take our callers who've been patiently standing by. We've got on hold right now. Let's bring Dave from Hoffman Estates up. Hey, Dave, how are you doing today?
Hey, Patty. I was going to talk about the difference between the Finnish police and our police department.
Okay.
Because Finland and North, but I don't know if I should say that for another day.
Well, I mean, part of the problem there is the gun violence here. I'm guessing the proliferation of guns is vastly greater than it is in Finland to begin with.
Well,
just as a starting point.
Well, like Finland and Norway and Netherlands, they require their police to attend a national academy, a college for cops, if you will, for 3 years, versus the U.S. police academies provide an average of 19 weeks of classroom instruction. Very big difference. And over there, I'll use Finland because that's my people, they require to obtain permission from the superior officer whenever possible before shooting anyone. And they believe in life. Like ours go for center mass in the chest to the heads, but over there, they try for the legs or some other non-vital part of the body, to bring them down. Like they had an example back, a couple of years ago, they had an Al-Qaeda type that had been brandishing a knife. He had, stuck a few people. I don't know if he killed them or not, but they went. In this case, they shot this dude in the leg. He dropped the knife. And therefore, they got a live prisoner, not a corpse that they had to call up the meat wagon to haul away. And they're also very highly educated, like teachers and stuff. They got to go to just, college, basically, that tie in with that academy. And they're not all like, the Barney Fife type or whatever. If you got some moron that wants to play a little bit harder, well, they have a unit, too, that's kind of like our SWAT, that they will take them down, too. But for the most part, they believe in life. But I just thought it the contrast in the time that they go for training and, they're almost like on-the-job training and whatnot for 3 years versus 19 weeks. It's a vast difference there,
And I wonder if there's a way, we need to figure out a way to talk about law enforcement, because we seem to be backed into a corner almost every single time, that if we even question, or the conversation that we're having, I'm sure that there's someone in law enforcement who's hearing you and is feeling like they're being attacked, even though we're just spitballing, using Finland or other countries as an example, just trying to figure out, because something needs to change. If we're not allowed to even have that conversation, then there's nowhere to go. But we need to not be timid about it either. We just need to go, okay, you know what? They're never going to want us to talk about it, but we're going to have to do it anyway.
Yeah, but in all fairness, for the police to be a devil's advocate, it's kind of us and them right now. I mean, it's usually, because they get nothing but bad press. I mean, how often do we get good press for the good things they do? You got rotten cops just like you got rotten doctors, but they got that thin blue line or whatever, and they won't turn them in. And
that's my point, is that our conversation, my intention for having a conversation about law enforcement is to both help people who feel as though they are the targets, and really that's both police officers and people in the communities. It's about making it better for everyone. But it's always heard as an attack. Yes, you're right. And part of that is not helped by the fact that we, and sometimes I'm guilty of it, make it sound like us versus them. And we need to figure out a way around that.
Some of the communities are afraid of getting retaliation from the gangs, so they don't help the police out by not saying anything either. So it's a vicious circle,
Exactly.
Just real quick, so you get to the other, and with the on the politics, I did a little already with Joan, but remember the old saying when they used to say politics is war?
Yeah.
We're losing this war, sister. I mean, if you don't, you got to get dirty. You go in the pig pen, you're going to get dirty.
That's right.
I mean, it's all bad.
It's hard. I mean, we got the gloves coming off and is enough. Then what? Because you know what? We haven't been punching anything, so we're not.
Got to bloody up the knuckles.
You got to bloody up those knuckles. Keep trying.
Hey, let me get off. I know the other guy's waiting too. So be well, Patty.
You as well. Thank you so much. And I will let me do this. I have to read. I want to make sure that you know about the spiritual and holistic event coming up this Saturday and Sunday, where you can enjoy an entire weekend of filled with fun and new experiences. Find out about the latest in alternative healing and nutrition. Meet with holistic practitioners. Get an intuitive reading or energy work, aura, astrology. You can shop for jewelry, handmade products, crystals, lotions, oils, and more. You can attend free classes and presentations, enjoy free do-it-yourself workshops, win awesome prizes in their raffle for charity. You can purchase special event tickets to Dr. Weissman and John D'Souza's live shows and workshops. Tickets can be purchased at Holistic Health and spiritualexpo.com. Again, that's Holistic Health and spiritualexpo.com. Tickets are $14, and children under 15 are free. We'll take caller number 3 for a free pair of tickets to the Spiritual and Holistic Expo this Saturday and Sunday. And I'm trying to find the location again because I heard Joan. I was like, oh, I should look that up and find out that I know where it's going to be. And I'm trying to Google it right now. Again, we're going to take caller number 3. Contest running on WCPT 820 are open to listeners 18 or older and residents of the Greater Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana area. 1 entry per person, 1 per household. Void where prohibited by law. Listeners may only win or qualify to win once every 30 days. Complete rules are available on our website at WCPT820.com by clicking the contest tab. And I know that Ed's been on hold for a bit because he's got something he wants to get off his chest as well. Hi, Ed. What's on your mind?
A beautiful evening to you, Patty. I am wondering when Merrick Garland is going to get some tiger in him and start going after Trump and his toadies. My research tells me that the charges that are outstanding against Trump should be addressed at this time and not be put by the wayside. He's a blatant criminal, a terrorist, an insurrectionist. He's walking the streets free as a bird. This is very hard for me to understand. I mean, this is the United States of America. The Justice Department, the Attorney General, why are they dragging their feet as far as going after these people? Very, very hard to understand this. And I feel very dismayed every day. I'm as I see each day goes by and nothing is being done, and Trump walking around gaslighting again, lying. I think we need verbal retaliation against his statements of rigging. Come forth and say, well, prove it. What documented proof do you have? I mean, and also I would think there would be provisions in the Constitution to prevent this type of gaslighting. It's really gotten out of hand, and unfortunately, people that are not in the know are believing this stuff.
And Ed, I wonder sometimes, I've talked to Renato Mariotti, who's a former federal prosecutor, and he talked a lot about how, the judicial system works and you have to have enough evidence in order to follow through on a case. And how much of this do you think, Ed, is really that, our founding fathers and generations of politicians, regardless of how ruthless or how much they were willing to stoop to levels never, fathomable before, they just couldn't even they couldn't even imagine that a president would behave this way, so there were no safeguards in place. And to your point, I think that we need to do it now to make sure it never happens again. Don't you think?
I agree totally.
Yep.
I mean, the more this is not addressed and these people are not brought to justice, they're just going to feel stronger and feel they can get away with it, at a whim. Yep. So it's just very, very hard to accept.
It is, and you're not alone. I think that's the best I can do for now, except to say you are expressing the same kind of frustrations many of us are feeling.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Ed.
Thank you.
Take care. And before we go, I want to make sure that you know more about this holistic health and spiritual expo. It is this Saturday, November 6th and Sunday, November 7th at the Renaissance Schaumburg Convention Center Hotel. That's at 1551 Thoreau Drive in North Schaumburg. And again, we're promoting this week. We're excited about the event, and we hope that you enjoy the weekend. Have a lovely rest of your evening. Thank you, Lady B, and everybody here at WCPT. Tomorrow, we are going to talk about Belle Prairie, which is the area where they were going to try to mow that over for expansion in the airport in Rockford. So we want to talk more about that with our friends, Carrie Lee, and find out what you can do to help out. Rick Unger Show is up next. Have a lovely night. Bye, everyone.
This is a WCPT Veteran Minute. After the death of his mother, John Clem enlisted to join the Union Army, but was rejected twice for his age and his height.